Well, good morning and welcome to the October 22nd meeting of the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board. We will call the meeting to order. Item 2 on your agenda, you have been furnished copies of the minutes of our September 24, 2015 meeting. Are there additions or corrections to those minutes? It's been moved that we approve the minutes of the meeting and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved. Item 3, we have the MAPS 3 Budget and Obligation Report. David, you want to walk us through that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have several on here because of the close of the fiscal year. So there are 4 revenue and expenditure reports included in your packet this month. This was necessary to match the official accounting report generated after year-end close and to show the required adjustments made to comply with generally accepted accounting principles. So the fiscal year of 2015 ended on June 30th of 2015. Any expenses received prior to close where the services were provided prior to 6/30/15 were adjusted back to June. And then prior reports provided were preliminary, as we discussed, and these are the ones in your packet are final and not subject to further revisions for year-end accruals. So I'm going to start at the last one that you have in your packet, which is the June 30th, 2015. So on the revenue side, pardon me, revenue side for the month of ending June 30th, it was $9,035,014. For the fiscal year, $111,581,212, and a total program of $528,324,571. And on the expenditures, for the month, there was $7,763,008. For the fiscal year, $51,812,580, and total expenditures of $114,778,993. If there's not any questions on that, I'll move on to the July.
Any questions? All right, go ahead, David.
So July, the period ending July 31st, 2015. On the revenue side, there's $9,255,014. For the fiscal year, well, obviously that's the same because it's the first month of the fiscal year, and then a total revenue of $537,579,586. On the expenditures report, there was $927, and for total program expenditures of $114,779,920. I might point out, as we often talk about, that it's 6.1% above target. Any questions for July? Then we'll move on to the period ending August 31st, 2015. On the revenue side for the month, $9,618,180. Fiscal year, $18,873,194. For a total of $547,197,765. On the expenditure side for the month, $10,825,290. For the fiscal year, $10,826,218, and total expenditures of $125,605,210, and again, 6.1% above collections. Any questions for August? Move on to the period ending September 30th. On the revenue side for the month, $9,276,759. Fiscal year, $28,149,953. And total revenue of $556,474,524. On the expenditure side for the month, $3,996,214. Fiscal year, $14,822,432, and total expenditures of $129,601,425. Revenues at 6.2% above target. The main expenses in those expenditures is Fairgrounds, which has the Expo building under construction, and then we've got the river, which is also has a project under construction. So I can answer any questions you might have.
Bob?
Just even though we have been under target on a monthly basis for the last several months, the the overall number has actually gone up. Is that because of adjustments in the target number?
It is. Remember, they adjust the targets every year.
Right.
So the 6.2 or 6.1, whichever, is based on the original projections.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I just wanted to confirm that.
But we're still over the original projections, even though the monthly
That's right.
targets have been below the current projections.
That's right.
As I'm understanding it, the monthly projections are under the revised projections each year. That's done by the budget office, but not necessarily below what the original projections were. And so the number from our viewpoint, I think that's most relevant is that we're 6.1 or 2 above the original projections. And remind us, David, or someone, how long will we, how many more months do we have to collect the sales tax?
We go till the end of 2017,
2017.
December 31st.
Okay. Any other questions? Then, did you want to talk also about the budget and obligation report, David, before we move to receive these?
I can. You can see that, well, it's all spelled out for you there. Like I said, the State Fairgrounds has the most significant activity along with the Whitewater project, but everything is still within budget.
Any questions about the budget and obligation? It's broken down on the document that you have by each subcommittee and in total. Any questions?
Move that we accept the reports.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we receive and accept the reports as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The reports are received. David, we have a presentation on the downtown public park.
Yes, sir, we do. Even if there's not something to necessarily approve, we like to bring you updates periodically to let you know what is going on at the subcommittee level. So I'm happy today to have Gavin McMillan from Hargraves and Associates here today to talk to you about what's going on with the park. So I'd like to invite him up.
Gavin, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We just wanted to give you an opportunity to see what we showed the subcommittee yesterday and some of the discussions we've had subsequently. So we'll start on the upper park first, which we received preliminary design report approval quite recently, so it's moving into final plans and specs. And one of the issues that we've been doing is working with the preferred operator of the park, Myriad Botanic Gardens. And one of their desires was to add some more program spaces into the park to create more of a destination and more of income revenue generating sources to offset the operation and maintenance costs. And one of those facilities that we've been looking at was a new park pavilion on Robinson on the southern end of the park. If you remember, here is Robinson on the right and I-40 at the bottom of the page here. And this was next to Union Station, an elevated area. So we've been looking at creating a big shade pavilion that is multifunctional. So it's creating the shade and the space underneath. You would have power and utilities to run several different operational things underneath depending on the season. It could be a skating rink sometimes for roller skating. Other times it could be a market. Other times it could be demonstration sports. So it's a multi-purpose space that would work both day and night. The architects, Butzer Urban Architecture, has just started to look at this, and they're trying to develop an architectural style based on the other buildings that we already have in the park for other buildings, and also relating to the Skydance Bridge that you can see there in the background. So we're continuing to work through this and refine it based on the feedback that we got yesterday, and as we move forward. And so I will now bring you up to date on the lower park, which is proceeding through schematic design. Last time we came here for the subcommittee, we had 3 different alternates, and we've narrowed that down to one single alternate and are seeking feedback as we move forward. But briefly, to remind you all, the lower park is the southern end of the Quarter Shore idea. We have myriad botanic gardens on the top there, the upper park and the lower park, and then what we all hope in the future would be a new riverfront park that is not part of the lower park or the MAPS project, but something that we certainly encourage to think about into the future as we move forward. So the lower park is about 34 acres. It's 4 acres less than the upper park. It has some unique areas that we obviously want to play up upon, and its targeted budget is $20.5 million. We looked at the recreational facilities that are provided around the lower park within about a mile distance. It's well catered for in terms of ballparks and playgrounds and other recreational facilities. In the original master plan, you may remember, we did have the suggestion of a multi-purpose field that some athletics could be played upon, and we're thinking about that as we move forward. The site itself is quite interesting. We're on 15th Street looking south, and you can glimpse the river there, which is ideal. As we turn around and look back up Robinson to downtown, fantastic views back to downtown. But as we stand on Harvey Street is actually the low point of the site. So when you're on Harvey, you actually can't see the river. 15th acts as a levee. As we stand on the edge of the site, you can see the Latino Community Development Agency there in the background, and the area that was created as excess land after ODOT had finished with the interstate. And then on Robinson, looking at the area as Skydance lands down. And you notice here that the site is quite well treed, which is very different than the upper park, and it's something we want to build upon. Here is looking at the topography. There are 3 ramps, the 2 approaches of the roads that go up over the interstate, and the ramp up to the Skydance Bridge. And you can see there the low point in Harvey and 13th Street. Actually, towards the river is not the low point, it's actually the middle of the park. And you can see there the current uses, land uses, former car yards, many car yards, light industrial uses as well. In terms of water, 2/3 of the park is in the 1:500 floodplain, but it is protected from the river, 100-year flooding from the river. The trees, we were able to do a tree survey in the northern part of the park. Confirmed about almost 300 trees up there, and from aerial photography about 117 trees. So even though the trees aren't that special, they are special in terms of providing shade and impact, and quite a different feel than the upper park. We've looked at the road system around there. Robinson, we want to continue through the same profile as what we're doing in the upper park, so keeping 2 lanes each way, adding bike lanes on either side, and parallel parking on the park side. On Harvey, we want to keep 2 lanes and add parallel parking on that as well. And in terms of pedestrian circulation, we want to continue the promenade through. That's the main pedestrian and bike, recreational bike connection from north to south. So we would come off Skydance Bridge, proceed through the entire park length, cross 15th at a mid-block crossing, and connect up to the trail system that exists on the riverfront now. The site also has several existing buildings that we're just starting to look at in terms of the value and potential of those buildings. They are in not great shape, but we're seeing if some of them have some potential to be repurposed. But you can see here some of the larger ones are in conflict with the pedestrian and bike circulation in the promenade here. And we're looking at how the buildings could function both ways. You know, all these buildings were built to face Robinson. In the future, they would have a dual use in facing the promenade and the park as well. So we're just starting to look at that. And as we said, we had 3 options, and we've kind of crystallized those into the thinking of a preferred layout. So in the upper part of the park, above the Latino Community Development Agency, we see this still as a sports theme, although we do not want to make it like a sports complex. That's a much bigger thing that would not actually fit on this site, but we do want to build off the idea of having at least one junior-sized soccer field, and an advice from the Parks Department that soccer field be so heavily used that it would have to be synthetic rather than natural turf. So we're thinking of it as a synthetic field. It would be also lit for night use. It would have a pavilion associated with it for restrooms and change rooms and for shade. And amongst the trees, we would have multi-purpose ball courts that could be striped for different uses. And also, as we move south, we're looking at, in the treed area there, a woodland lawn that could be converted into a dog run or a dog park in the future as more dog users come online around the area. As we move further down, it was quite interesting. We met with the Latino Community Development Agency yesterday and the YMCA, and an idea that Myriad Botanical Gardens came up with was, for this end of the park, is to have more community involvement in gardening and also in urban agriculture. What's going on there? So within the park, there we go. Within the park, we have a city farm that would be based on urban agriculture, that would have an educational program associated with it, and a nutrition and health program, which ties in nicely with the programs that the Latino Community Development Agency has at the moment, and what the YMCA is actually interested in moving into as well. And complement of that would also be a community garden area where membership could actually use a plot, buy or rent a plot for 10 by 20 square feet, and use that as a community garden area. And between these two areas is what we're calling the hollow lawn. That's the lowest part of the site. So again, this is another interesting picnic area that would have rain gardens associated for cleaning the stormwater. As we move further down there, you can see Manuel Perez Park, an existing city park that sits on the corner of 14th and Harvey Street. We want to integrate that into the lower park as well. So we're moving a band of that sort of programming across and into the park that would be more cultural uses in terms of music programs, dancing programs, and kids play. So that would extend into the park and link up with the city park as well. And at the southern end is what we're calling the Glade Lawn. It's a low area, but we wanted to build up a landform that could double as a small amphitheater, but also high enough that you could stand on the top of it and actually see the river over 15th Street and use it for kite flying, etc. It would also be we're calling it the little oval. You remember in the upper park we have a big oval. So we now have created a jogging and walking and biking route from the big oval to the little oval, from the upper park to the lower park, which is about 2.25 miles. So you can kind of do a running and jogging loop from the lower park to the upper park. And then, as I said before, we all hope in the future we can cross 15th Street and connect to a renovated riverfront park that could have a pier and also associated uses as part of a city park. I will not working. I will just briefly, there we go, briefly just double up on some of these ideas. So the idea with the sports park, a big field lit, the multipurpose courts. We can use the ODOT wall as a ball court wall and actually use it as part of the programming. We can have a park course and athletic stations throughout the treed area, so there's a trail that you can have exercise routes along, shaded picnic areas, and also a sports pavilion. So we don't want to make it look like a typical sports complex, so there's several things we can do to make sure it's a multi-use facility, that it can be run in several different ways. Here's some examples of the different striping you can do, the bleachers and the shade, and the ball courts that could happen there. The wooden lawn, we think of this as a lawn first that could be used for multi-purpose throwing around a frisbee. When there is more of a demand for walking dogs, it could be converted into a dog run and have a concealed fence around it. The city farm, about 2 acres, so it would concentrate on fruit and nuts. It would actually be grown by the operator, so this is not a community involvement thing, although it can be used for youth training and programming as well. Another interesting aspect of this is it can also grow the food for the park cafe and restaurant as well in the upper park. So it has a farm-to-table connection as well within the park. And again, youth programming and training. The farm pavilion can also double as a farm stand to sell any excess produce for people walking through the park. So again, involving the youth into the picture is important. We're not going to go to the full livestock potential of this, but beekeeping could actually be added as part of the programming as well. The Hollow Lawn, the Low Park area here, a great idea for big family picnics and hammocks between the trees. There's fantastic trees there. You can sling up some hammocks to make it an interesting area to visit as well. The community garden is about space for about 170 quite generous sized plots. This could have a seniors program as well, but also a program for young people. And it can also have a kitchen cooking classes in the pavilion next to it as well. So again, it would have raised beds, so it wouldn't be growing in the natural soil that is there. And Perez Park, so that's complementing the park on the city park on the west side and bringing that feel into the lower park. So again, family picnicking, kids program, and more cultural, so you can have dancing and music in here as well. And they can also use the glade area with the landform. It'll be a great area for kite flying with the wind as it comes across the river, but also lawn activities as well. And then the prairie, so the strip between the promenade and Robinson, we're going to build upon the feel of a native Oklahoman prairie. It would have different themes along the way. One block could relate to butterfly gardens, bird gardens, but right at the northern end, as we get to the interstate, we would build that up like we're doing on the upper park, fill that area in so it doesn't feel like a hollow. So it would actually pick up the winds as they blow from the south. So that would be an amazing wind garden just with prairie grasses blowing in the wind. And Mary Gardens is quite excited with that potential aspect. So yeah, it would be all about grassland, but getting people in it and experiencing it in a way they haven't been able to before. And last but not least, the promenade. So it's about just over 1.25 miles from the lower to the upper park. So this is a fantastic ability to walk, to ride a bike, and to jog without ever having to cross a road. And it would be similar treatment than we're doing in the upper park. So the mast lights that we're doing in the upper park would continue down. So this really is the unifying element between the upper and the lower park and connects the core to the shore. We're continuing to develop on that. We had a great meeting with the Y yesterday and the community, Latino Community Development Agency. So they've come back with some great suggestions that we're going to build into the plan now. So we'll come back next time, show you all an update on this, and we'll have a first pass at cost as well, because we want to have a budget check, which was the whole point of doing this exercise right now. So thank you very much, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Michael?
I have a couple. Going back to the upper park and the pavilion, you mentioned roller skating and small concerts and events like that. Won't you need a building to rent skates and provide restrooms and things like that in conjunction with that?
The idea now is that would be a concession. So like an ice rink in winter, a concessionaire would bring in all the flooring, the fencing, the ticket booth, any portable restrooms that are needed for that. And it would be up for 6 weeks, and then it would all go away then. So the idea right now is try to build the minimum permanent facilities that we can and just see how it goes. If there is a need for more, bigger storage or permanent restrooms, that could be done later. But I think the idea is to build the minimum that we do now, test out the programming and what works and what doesn't, and then add more later if necessary.
Okay. My other question has to do with also with the upper park design. And it was primarily designed when we thought the convention center was going to be to the north of the park. And it was designed to that kind of open up to the convention center and the flow of people letting out of the convention center, coming across into the park. And the restaurant was located there and a lot of other things, partly because of that. Now that we've had a new site for the convention center, do we need to relook at the design and make sure we're still providing those elements to accommodate the crowds coming in and out of the convention center? And I mean, I see the promenade running right along that curve. It's almost like they come up and then suddenly hit the promenade, and then, you know, there's a barricade instead of an open gate or open entrance into the park from the convention center.
Right, and that's one exercise we're going through now, starting with the Boulevard and Harvey Street not being closed now. So we're looking at that intersection as a T intersection now, and what the impact that has on the idea of the cafe there, and whether we need to move anything around and make sense there. What has been interesting, though, is that the improvements that we all made from master plan to the preliminary design report was actually strengthening the programming and the flexibility of the Robinson Strip all the way down. So a lot of our event capability went into the Robinson side. So in fact, the Robinson side works really well with what we've done there, because we have all the utilities in the world for the park down that side for plug and play. So we can actually, and we have all the pedestrian crossings built in already. So the convention center actually, broadsiding the park now on the Robinson actually works very well. So in terms of the pedestrian access into the park that side works very well. And in fact, the shade pavilion that I showed you, we originally started as an oval that kind of looked within the park itself. So we went to a rectangle basically to address Robinson as well, because Robinson is now becoming as important as dress with the convention center as the Boulevard once was. So that's something that we'll continue to look at, but inherently the design had the flexibility and already built in to accommodate the convention center on that side. But we will be looking at the cafe and its relationship to the intersection now with Harvey.
Well, it just seemed like the original design had kind of to direct people into the park and then funnel them out. And now if that big flow is coming from the other direction,
right.
Instead of funneling into the park, we almost have a promenade that,
right. Well,
bisects that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, because it was a funneling, and the terminology is fantastic, but it was like there was only 3 places you could enter the park from the north, at each street corner and the central spine. Whereas in Robinson, we have 5 or 6 places you can actually enter the park. So it may be the same amount of people, but they're actually distributed more across the width.
So it depends where the main entrance to the convention center is.
Yeah. But that's a good point.
Yeah. And then lastly, on the lower park, you identified some buildings there, and it looked like those are primarily just the buildings along Robinson. There are other buildings in that lower park area other than those just along Robinson.
There are 2 residential buildings that we're not showing.
Some other industrial buildings, I think, too. I mean, you can see them almost in the...
There's one that is just a pure shed it's quite a recent structure that has, it's a steel zinc aluminum shed. It has no value whatsoever. So we didn't show those.
Okay.
Other questions?
Kevin, you're meeting with the Latino Community Development Agency. Can you speak a little bit more about their thoughts, and in particular if you talked to them about soccer fields, and if they had any other thoughts about things that they felt pretty strongly about? And you mentioned some like the community gardens, for instance, but were there other thoughts?
Yes, the link that we started with the master plan, thinking that the use of soccer fields, that link is as strong as ever. They do have, that link is as strong as ever. They love the idea of being able to play soccer, and not full-size soccer. They actually prefer the junior field.
So they would prefer more fields?
They would prefer 2 fields, is the feedback we got yesterday. And we'll look at that, because it's a trade-off between how many trees we can chop down and how much more leveling we have to do, but we'll do a study on that. The second aspect is they do have an after-schools program that they want to strengthen, and adding the component with the tie-in with the food, the farm, and the community gardens for their older clientele. They really love that. So the Y was actually willing to partner with them on that, and they love the idea. So we would have an immediate user for those sort of facilities. We were worried that it would take some time to build up a demand for those, but it sounds like we would have an immediate demand to do that at the start of the park. Yes, the interesting thing is they also have on their property a rather large-sized parking lot as well. So our other concern is if there's too many fields, and that generates too much parking as well, because we didn't want to turn it into a complex. But the use of their parking lot would actually take the pressure off the surrounding streets for parking. So there seemed to be a lot of synergy, and they're thinking more of their property as kind of the start of a larger health and wellness campus, if you like. That they're willing to stay there and become a new neighbor and continue to grow as the park grows. So the tie-in works very nicely.
Did they mention any future plans for perhaps moving?
They did not. They were committed to staying.
Dee?
Yes, what about restrooms?
Yes. In the drawing we had, let me back up. When we started this process, we were looking at ways to cut money out of the project, and one of the obvious ways of doing that is not doing any buildings, even though in the original master plan the buildings weren't that substantial anyway. When we first floated that, everyone liked the idea. That would be the easiest way, but when we talked about, is everyone happy with porta-johns? No. So I think when we look at the priorities in terms of where we spend money, the restrooms have to happen. So at the moment, we have 3 building structures, and the location of those is evenly distributed throughout the park, and in most cases doing double duty. It may be in the lower park, right. The upper park, we have restrooms between 200 and 500 feet, so they're really well distributed across the whole site. It'll be probably 500 feet in the lower park. But they do double duty, so where we sided them, it will serve the soccer field on one side, but it'll serve the picnic areas on the other side. So we're trying to keep the number of structures to a minimum and maximize the double duty of them. But we would recommend that for the restrooms to be usable, they have to be a certain minimum standard, and with an operator maintaining them, they will be met at that standard.
Other questions? Michael, anything? I know you had a quorum, you had a spirited discussion yesterday about this. Anything else we need to know from the subcommittee? Thank you. Gavin, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate it. That brings us to item number 5 on the agenda. David?
Yes, item 5 is recommend resolution approving change order number 10 for MAPS 3 Oklahoma State Fairgrounds Phase 2 New Expo Building, increase of $1,274.67, project M3-F002. We have Alan Brown here today from FSB to give us a little explanation on this change order and give us a short update on the project.
Welcome, Alan.
Thank you. Good morning. You've seen me a lot at these meetings, but I want to introduce you to our on-site construction administrator. Remember last month we had a contract amendment for that. Mr. Wes Brannon, he's going to be giving the presentation today, and probably most of them here on now as we get further into construction. So I'm going to turn it over to Wes.
Welcome, Wes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members, good morning. Thank you. This first slide, I think everybody's pretty familiar with. It shows the orientation, the park setting, and actually the footprint. The second actually is the actual building itself broken out in areas. I would like to point out the broken line type at the top of the building and at the bottom of the building. Those are areas, sundrious areas that have already been cast. Most of them, even the upper elevated decks to those areas, have been cast in concrete. This was taken recently during the Oklahoma State Fair. Kind of gives you an image impression for size and scale of the building. You can see in the foreground of the building those ancillary spaces I spoke of where we have cast the concrete and the masonry work has begun. This is a view looking north-northwest from the south extents of the site. You can see the front entrance and the beginning installation of the wall panel and roof panels. This is moving on around to the east-northeast from that previous photo. Shows the east elevation. This is a little closer viewpoint of the east elevation, kind of the front area D, we call it, of the masonry work, and then the beginning of the superstructure. This is a hangar door. Provided the slide Alan did to kind of give everyone a sense of scale and balance. You can see in the lower left is a worker. The horizontal dimension for this opening is 40 foot. The vertical dimension to that first member you see is 30 foot above finished floor. When it's finished, there'll be a pair of doors that will slide both north and south. This is kind of a spanse view looking through the expo hall itself. Kind of want to point out the shades and shadows on the members themselves. It was quite a good photo. This is kind of a composite view of one of the floor boxes in the lower right, which there will be several of those spread at 30-foot dimensions throughout the expo hall at the finished floor level. And then that's an intermediate masonry column that bears a structural support column out in the expo hall. This is a view looking from the north and west, looking south-southeast. Kind of shows you the west elevation. That is a true perpendicular west elevation. This is moving on around to the south, looking back to the north-northeast. Shows the front entrance there again and portions of the west elevation. We had 5 items which made up change order number 10 that we reviewed. The first one was an existing power pole that after review and consultation with the engineers and with the general contractor, it was deemed that we could leave the pole, take the credit, and go ahead and put our superstructure on it that's designed in the documents. The second one was the food consultant determined that for the kitchen to be more user-friendly, that it would be advisable to put a faucet at the mixer. This is the infrastructure for that. The third one is hangar door power. That hangar door that we've seen in the previous photos, the manufacturer strongly suggested 2 fuse disconnects in lieu of the one, so that's an up design as it relates to the manufacturer's requirements. Door hardware revisions, we had 3 doors specific that needed final completion as it related to the balance of hardware that would be powered. They're mechanical doors. And then the 5th one is to provide power to 5 grease traps that will go to low voltage alarms should they need cleaning and or should they need servicing in any way. So that brings us to the original construction contract amount current through change order number 10 with a percentage as it relates to the 10%. There are separately awarded contracts and remaining contracts shown that has not changed from the previous month. This project schedule, change order number 10, did not add any days, so the days through 1, 2, 6, and 7 remain. Any questions?
Questions? Bob, any recommendation from the subcommittee?
We did not have a quorum Tuesday at our meeting, but there was no dissent among those who were present, so I would move that we approve the change order.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution approving the change order. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The change order is approved. Wes, thank you. It's good to have you working on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
See more of you. That brings us then to item number 6, a presentation on the river. David?
Yes, sir. Continuing with the idea that we want to bring you updates periodically, we have Jeffrey Guston from S2O here to give you an update on the construction that's going on out at the Whitewater facility. So I'd like to invite him up, and he's got some show and tell today.
Are we expecting trouble here, or? Jeffrey, an umbrella would have been enough, but go ahead. That's great.
So good morning. Thank you for the opportunity again to be here in front of you. If it falls, it falls. I'll do a quick update presentation for you, but before I get to the presentation, I did bring some graphics. Basically, as we had said before, we went out with an advance order procurement on both the hard product for the whitewater, the kayaks and paddles, as you see here, was actually procured through a local vendor, OKC Kayaks, over on Western. We got these are Jackson kayaks. We got 20 of those and 20 paddles. Paddles vary in size. It's about 195 millimeters. They go down to 150 millimeters, so about here. This is a large kayak. We have medium and small as well. The design, it's more of what we call a freestyle kayak. It's wider base, more stable. You're able to do flips and stuff in the channel. It's easier to learn with too. Has quite a few design features in it. Little airbag for your back. Excuse me. Little pump inside to get your legs up against the inside. It's state of the art. I mean, if you look at competitions over the last 3 years, 80% of the winning people are using Jackson kayaks. So it's a reputable brand, and you have a pretty good local vendor here who supplies these and is looking to sell more. So we have this product here locally, and then the remainder of the whitewater product is basically our paddles for the rafts, the helmets, gear, all that is coming from a group called NRS, who is storing all that and within a phone call away of bringing everything on site when we need it. So if you don't mind, I'm going to get this off to the side.
Jeffrey, that doesn't look like my grandfather's canoe, does it?
You can still use your grandfather's canoe. I wouldn't recommend it. Brings up an interesting point, though. We're seeing a lot of changes in the industry. I know that's not what we're here for. It's an update, but it's a new sport. I mean, it's been around forever, but it's changing as we're bringing access to people. And this project alone is going to, it's following up what we did in Charlotte, but it's giving people access in the middle of America that don't have access to whitewater, which is going to change even further the industry. But we're seeing a lot of, I'm sure you're all familiar with the term stand-up paddleboard. You mostly see it in the oceans or in the streams and whatnot. In Charlotte, they're doing stand-up paddleboarding on the whitewater. I mean, it is crazy. It's a programmable element we'll bring to this feature as well, and the sport itself is just changing, daily. So, which is exciting for everyone involved in the sport. But so we have our product. Kind of go through the presentation here for you. Just a quick update. Looking from the east, from I-35, you're now seeing quite a bit of activity on all the buildings, on all fronts. We continue to work on the pump station, the channels. You're seeing the form in the front there of the screen is the kayak building, which if you drive by, as of yesterday, I think all the skin on the east side is on the building. The roof is going in next week. Pump station's coming up. I mean, just everywhere on site we're working. Road work, everything. Quick look at the schedule. As we mentioned on previous presentations, the first couple bars there are mostly early mobilization site utilities. That's why you're seeing a lot of 90 and 100% there. As you get into the middle of this chart, that's your buildings. The main buildings tracking somewhere around 50, 60%. The kayak and rafting building a little bit behind that in the 40s. You're seeing some of the change orders to the far right on the slide here. The early ones are the add backs of the $4 million credits that we had as you work your way to the far to the right. They're the most recent ones. The rapid blocks add to it and some of the other miscellaneous changes we've made. Overall, we're about 70% through the project, about 369, 370 days into the project. We've got about 5 months to go, so we're tracking right on about 70% right now. Starting at the pump station, again from the east of the site, you can see an aerial view here of the pump station. Basically, all the walls are up. We're lacking at this point a roof slab, which we're aggressively trying to get that done. That will complete the dry-in of the pump station, allow us to start coming in with the mechanical, filtration systems, everything else. Once that's done, we'll start backfilling that dirt section to the east of the pump station. That becomes your upper pond. So a lot of dirt coming in on site over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be filling that pond up to elevation. couple more shots from the north side of the bottom pool, looking back at the pump station. So you'll see here back in July, I think that slide shows, we were pretty much at the first level, no vertical walls above the first level. As of a few weeks ago, all the walls on the pump station for the second floor are up. The formwork you see in the foreground is actually the formwork for that large retaining wall that comes out off of the pump structure. That's actually being stripped today, so that concrete's done as well. Looking from the south, right at the river, back to the pump station, see a little bit more of that. The channels are a lot more clean than the last time you saw them, and that's because we're basically we cleaned everything up to put in the waterproofing. There's 3 different waterproofing methods going in inside the pump station itself, where we have not only continuous water, but aggressive water coming up through the pump station. We have a thick tarry substance that basically keeps the concrete from leaking at that point. Throughout the channels, there's a variety of control joints and whatnot that are being sealed, and then about every 160 feet, we have an expansion joint for the concrete, and that's also going in. So a lot of that activity is starting at the pump station slab, working its way back west to the bridge, which, from previous conversations, that's our retaining basin. So when it's operating and also turned off, that holds water. So we're trying to get that all cleaned up, turned over, and we're going to punch that out and basically put some water on it in the next couple months. This is a picture of the pumps right before they shipped. We had Scott Shipley and Alan, our structural engineer, was over in KSB right before they shipped. Those right there are 4 of the pumps, 4 of the 6 pumps that shipped earlier this month, October 12th. They should be Houston at the end of the month and on site shortly thereafter. But this is the heart and soul of your project right there. There's about 15,000 pounds apiece, 15 feet high, 6 of them. They go in the pump station. They just run continuously. Looking back a little bit on the channels here, so again, we're from the east looking down. The channel to the right would be the rec channel. Channel to the left would be the comp channel. I think what you've seen before in some of our presentations, there was a disparity between the 2 channels. The rec channel was a little bit ahead of the competition channel. While that's still the case, we've caught up on the slab pours. Right now we only have, let me go a little bit further here. I'll get that in a minute. Right now we have about two slab pours on the competition channel and 1 on the rec channel. So from a slab perspective, we're done at that point. Then there's a bunch of walls that come in, vertical, sloped, stepped, terraced, and you'll see that activity continue for the next 3 months. A little bit more on the channels, just looking down the competition channel on the larger picture here, just seeing all the formwork for the various walls. The smaller picture shows the control joints going into the slab. This is the first shot of our slope wall, which was poured 2 weeks ago, and we're continuing another pour this morning. We think we have 3 slope walls in to date. It shows the rapid blocks, how they fit in. So you've all seen the rectangular one, and the angle one, there's a special fit that actually goes right in between the base and the wall. It's on a 3 to 2 slope, and that fits right into the wall and creates that jetty that we're trying to get. The smaller slide on the left basically shows just some rustication joints in the wall formwork to give a little architectural breakup of the concrete. A couple of just overall shots. They're a bit fish-eyed, but the top one is kind of standing at the raft building. So to the left, you'd see that depression and the main building just peeking out there on the edge of the slide. And as you look to the right, that other building is the raft building looking down to the pump station. You know, you can see the breadth of what's going on with the waterproofing here. You can see all the cuts going into the slab and the magnitude of how much surface area we have out there. This is just our channel concrete pour schedule. We show this, we update this pretty regularly, but it shows basically all of our slabs have been poured with the exception of on the right-hand side of the slide, the last 2 sections on the comp channel and 1 on the rec, and then essentially the upper pool. All that slab work, including the upper pool, we're hopeful that will be poured by the end of this year. And then at that point, it's basically walls, miscellaneous walls here and there filling in. This is looking out from the job trailer at the soon-to-be parking lot. This has changed drastically over the last few weeks. We've turned the paving operation of the parking as well as 6th Street, Phillips, and 5th Street to the paving contractor. And we're hopeful by Thanksgiving we have all paving done on the site. It's going to give us access to everything out there. In about 2 weeks, this is just basically street and parking paving. In about 2 weeks, we'll also start doing the sidewalk paving. And the operation for that, if I can go back, is to go along 5th Street, which is on the north side of the site, all the way to the east, come back along the river to the main building, start sidewalk and basically paint your way off the site. So we would be doing effectively the south side of the site first, getting all of our sidewalk in, buttoning up that edge, that river edge, getting out to the east, and then kind of working back to the west on 5th Street. A couple more shots on the buildings. The small picture back in July on the main building. You can see quite a bit of exterior still showing. Here on the bigger slide, the main building's completely closed in at this point. Roof's done, the exterior siding's done, the storefront's in, the curtain wall's in, all your glass. The only thing we're missing is doors right now on the exterior. A lot of work going on the interior. There's a front shot of the main building. Again, to the right there, the main kind of A-shaped front entry. That is storefront. That's all been done. We basically have the doors and some EIFS going in, and again, that's pretty much the exterior of the building. Looking in the interior of the main building, this is essentially, again, has changed drastically over the last few weeks. This is studded out. We've been hanging drywall for about a week now, so this is closed-in space now. This is basically the bigger slide is a picture of the interior open office area for the administration portion of the operation. And the smaller picture is the mechanical yard just outside of that. Looking at the raft building, the roofing's going in next week. All the steel's up. The exterior's been sheathed. Basically rough ends, mechanical, electrical are complete. So we have basically interior finishes going in on that and continuing the shingle work on that building. You can see here also on this slide the variety of steps that we had mentioned in the previous discussions, where the pedestrian pad comes right up to the channel edge. There's a series of steps. In the foreground, you can see the ramp going back down, and then there's some terraces as well that wrap the entire bottom pool area. And just a forecast of where we are and where we're going. Again, the majority of the focus right now for the entire project is through the concrete pours and also the pump station. We've got to get the buildings in, got to get dried in so we can continue to do the mechanical, electrical work in the pump station. And we're on track to hopefully pour the roof slab in the next few weeks and start doing some interior work by year's end on that. Site work is bringing in all the grading, all the dirt work coming in Oliver Park is basically backfill for the upper pond and some of the minor retaining walls. So we should be by January 1st, probably about 5% of our fill still left out at Oliver Park, which will be basically fine grading in the end. Utilities, OG&E's pulling wire on their main feed. If you remember from previous conversation, they have 3 service points for this project, and one's a medium voltage delivery of 4160 volt. All the infrastructure is in, all the conduit and duct banks, so now they're pulling wire. We're hopeful by December 1st, essentially, they'll be ready to energize power to the site. Buildings, we've talked about those. Channels continue to be buttoning up the slabs and then continue the wall pours. The bridge is on site, as we've said before. It's waiting for the abutments to be complete, and I think we'll probably be there in about 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll probably have we'll have the 2 bridge sections up again, probably by Thanksgiving. And then lastly, on the owner-provided equipment, we pretty much have everything on site. The only thing that we're missing right now is the last shipment of rapid blocks, the 4th shipment, which actually just shipped earlier this week. So we'll have that in 3 weeks. Have all the equipment as we talked about, and then the pumps for the mass flow, they shipped out on the 12th, should be here by month's end, and at that point everything's on site. That concludes our update. Any questions?
Questions?
Jeffrey, I have a quick question. There's 5 pumps?
6.
6 pumps. And I assume there's mechanical redundancy there, so if one that goes out or 2 goes out, the facility still function, or?
Yes. We design it for a maximum flow, so it's 6 pumps. It's about 1,250 CFS. You can run all of them. You can run 5. You could run a full operation on 5 pumps with both channels. With one channel, you can run on 3 or 4 pumps. So Charlotte has 7 by comparison. Smaller pumps, about the same flow. They only run 6 most of the time. They keep that one out of rotation just in case something goes wrong. On a rare occasion, will they run the 7th one. And we see that similar here. You'll probably run 6 for the first couple months because it's like buying a new car. Everyone wants to ride fast, right?
Yeah.
And then they back it off, and they'll run it at 5. It's more economical. You got less power draw on it. You still get the same flux out of it. But when you're doing competitions, you'll probably put the 6 pump back on. And we suggest in our owner's manual that we rotate that pump so that it's not always the same one being off.
I was just thinking if one of them fails, you're not shutting down the facility or something.
We're not. And, Charlotte's a different manufacturer, same type of pump. Charlotte's been running for effectively 8.5 years now, and they have never taken a pump off-site. Everything's been done on-site. It's basically, checking seals and bearings and whatnot, but there's never been an incident where it had to go off-site. You guys have the availability of a couple groups here in town that have the ability to service these pumps here locally, which helps out drastically. We're also looking at having some shelf supply of some of the parts that would more frequently, break down, locally stored so that time period of maintenance is actually reduced as well.
Thank you.
Other questions? Well, I guess that's the presentation. We're going to move into the proposed resolution. Do you want to stay up there, Jeffrey, till David tells us about these?
Right. Item 7 is recommend resolution approving change order number 10 for MAPS 3 Oklahoma River Phase 3 Whitewater Facility, increase of $12,383, project M3-R004/WC-0817/SC-0912. There is one item on this, and this is for the pump station baffles, and that's the sleeves that operate with the pump in order to help with the vortices that are created with the pumping action. It's been determined that it's better that Downey Contracting be the one who installs these baffles rather than trying to get the pump guys to do this. So what you don't see here is a change order that you'll see next month that will reduce the amount from KSB by an equal amount. So we're taking from one contract and putting back to the next one. I just didn't get the paperwork done and signed in time, but we will have that next month. So it's just a swap of who we're paying. It's a net zero change.
Did the subcommittee recommend we approve this?
We recommended approval.
You want to make a motion?
I move that we accept it.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this this resolution approving the change order. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item number 8, David.
Item 8 is recommend resolution approving change order number 11 for MAPS 3 Oklahoma River Phase 3 Whitewater Facility, increase of $186,014.55. Project M3-R004/WC-0817/SC-0912. This is a change order for food service equipment. We'd always had the budget had a line item for FF&E that was remaining from what we haven't purchased. And we worked with the Boathouse Foundation and decided that the food service equipment would be the best use of that. The line item that was in there was $119,000. This is $186,014.55. So there's $67,014 that will come from contingency. We have over $600,000 in contingency, and this will come out of that piece. And I might add also that the subcommittee recommended this.
Okay. Any questions for David? Anything else from the subcommittee, Dee or Michael? All right. Shall we approve it? It's been moved that we approve it. Been seconded. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution approving change order number 11 is adopted. Jeffrey, thank you. Appreciate you bringing some visuals for us today, and appreciate the great work you guys are doing. This is very, very exciting for all of us, and it's great to see this project coming to life.
Next time you see this will be in the water, and you're welcome to give it a shot.
I volunteered to do it, but David insisted that he be the one. So it's, and I think probably he should be first. So. Anyway, thank you. We really appreciate it. Item number 9 on the agenda. David?
Mr. Chairman, we have a presentation today for Senior Health and Wellness Center number 2 from FSB and Alan Brown.
MAPS 3 River Improvement Project at the Oklahoma River is moving forward. The most transformative project
that we had
is the
this video
world-class
also
whitewater
that I wanted to
facility,
show.
which is beginning to take shape as construction continues. The facility, known as Riversport Rapids, will anchor the existing Riversport attractions in the Boathouse District. Let's take a look at how construction has progressed. Downey Contracting is working hand in hand with the designers, consultants, city staff, and the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation to deliver this complex, large-scale project in time for the 2016 World Staged Events. We'll start at the west entrance. The parking lot extension along Riversport Drive, which will add more than 100 parking spaces, has been graded and paving will begin soon. Coming up on the main building, you can see the completed exterior which coordinates with the existing boathouse structures. The storefront entrance is complete and work on the interior is in progress. When finished, the facility will house a pro shop, restaurant, offices, and the whitewater ticketing area. Next, we come up on the rafting building. This is where rafters will assemble their gear and start orientation. On this building, the roof is complete and exterior framing has begun. Here is the entrance into the bottom pool where terracing and steps will provide access to the water's edge. The sloped walkway will serve as a ramp for the rafters to enter the bottom pool. This concrete work is complete and is now ready to waterproof and apply a finished grout coating. More than 11,000 cubic yards of concrete will be used for this facility. Here we see the pump house. The mechanical and treatment hub will recirculate, filter, and treat 14 million gallons of water per day. Electrical work and framing is in progress, and the roof will soon be placed to complete the pump house. The pump house will include 6 pumps weighing more than 12,000 pounds each. This structure will pump nearly 500,000 gallons of water per minute. That will make the freestyle channel at the end of the course the highest volume pumped whitewater channel in the world. Here we see the kayak building on the east side of the upper pond. The roof is complete and exterior framing is in progress. As we turn back west, you see the channels are beginning to take shape. The recreation channel now reaches the point where it will connect to the upper pond. The competition channel on the left has one section remaining to complete its length. The space between the channels is being prepared to develop a landscaped area for spectators. On the left, work has been done preparing for the slab at Rotary Point Stage. The bridges have been delivered and will soon be placed over the channels. Bridge footings are currently being constructed. This completes the construction update and site tour of Riversport Rapids. For more information on this and other MAPS 3 projects, visit okc.gov/MAPS3.
This was a video that we did with the help of S2O and Downey Contracting on the video part of it. We put it together just as an update. You can find it on our website. You can find it on YouTube out there. And I forgot that we were going to show it. So,
Well, thank you for showing it. These videos of the projects, I get a chance to show around the community periodically, David, and I'll just tell you they're very well received everywhere we go, and I think it's a great idea for you to continue to do that. All right, that brings us to item 9.
all right, item 9 is the MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center number 2. Alan Brown from FSB is here to give you an update on the design for this project.
Now, Alan, is this going to be as exciting as pumping 14 million gallons of water a day? Or?
Oh, it's going to be more exciting.
Very good. Go ahead, then.
Okay, well, good morning again. We want to give you a design update on the project. We're getting close to finalizing the design for submitting to the city. As you know, there's the site. To the west includes some parking area and the new tennis courts as well. In the south is the Hosea Vineyard Park, which we're tying into, as well as the school connection to the north. I want to point out changes since the last time we were here at 65% design. Not too many. The basic project includes 6 tennis courts, as I mentioned. The project includes, as an alternate, resurfacing the existing parking lot on the northwest. We've connected on the south. You can see a little jog in the sidewalk. We've connected with the Parks Department sidewalk project in Hosea Vineyard Park and coordinated with them on that location. I think it's about most of the changes to the site plan. Here is the ground floor plan. A few changes here, nothing major. On the south, we changed the stair that was protruding from the building, saved a little money by bringing it into the building there. Overall, I think that's really about the major change. There have been small modifications, but you can see we still have the, everything was in the project originally. The entrance with the food service, the cafe in front with the sort of reading area, library to the right, and then the major circulation space and sort of that light green color, yellowish-green color, that's a primary open space for that connects the building. Multi-purpose room on the south that's subdividable, a preparation kitchen to the left of that, the arts and crafts room on the end that has a glass and doors to an arts patio. To the north of that is the health clinic that has now three pods, we're calling it, of 5 rooms, 5 exam rooms that will be operated by Variety Care, and then finishing out is some support space, the locker, restrooms, and there's a food pantry area that's going to be operated by the regional food bank. On the east side, we have the full-size pool with a with ADA access ramp, and on the north side of that sort of jogged area, that's called a bubble bench that has sort of a lounge space you can sit in the water. In the center of the group exercise room, that's a pickleball court shown there that you can use it in that way, and that's also subdividable for other uses, aerobics, that type of thing. To the left of that is the weights and cardio space. Off of the main lobby area, you can see the reception desk right above there, controlling access. And then we still have, on the second level, the mezzanine, which is the walking track that also has some fitness equipment there that opens into the lower space. This is a view from from Walker, looking towards the southwest. That's the main entrance canopy you see in the front there, and the orange area, that's the raised running track that overlooks the front entry, and you'll be able to see into the building and out. On the left is the pool area. It also has some glass areas into it with a higher sill so people aren't looking into the space. The entrance court for vehicular access has benches, has a entrance drive and benches surrounding this area for waiting. And on the back side, we call the activity court. This faces the park and an open space on the site that is for outdoor activities. There could be a community garden, that type of thing, shuffleboard, whatever they'd like to do out there. But it also shows in the center an open, partially covered patio area that'll be used for lounge furniture and that type of thing. This is the view of the front reception. You can see the reception desk at the left, the coffee bar on the right, the cafe, lounge furniture, and you look up to the upper level fitness walking track and some additional fitness equipment. The idea of the concept was very light and open and airy. We tried to keep it as open as possible. And looking then down from the walking path towards the same area, the reception desk, you can see into the cafe, library area on the bottom, and then out towards Walker. And this is looking into, there'll be glass into the aquatic, the pool area as well, with, of course, lounge furniture at the end of that open space to the east. And this just shows typical building finishes and furnishings. The primary idea with the color scheme was, again, light, but also add color. And we kind of brought a Hispanic influence with sort of bright orange and green colors into it. We think that'll be really bright in that space and make it kind of fit into the area. There's more furniture and colors throughout the space, same color scheme. I'm not going to go through all of them. We did go over it, I think, previously, but and the rest of the spaces, arts and crafts, aquatics. Aquatics has a finish. Well, I think we had tile on the deck area. We've gone to a diamond bright finish for some budgetary reasons throughout. The same finish that's used inside the pool as well, and we've gone over it with all the consultants, and everybody is and the user. They're fine with that. Here is the budget where we are right now. The total construction budget, $10,560,000, construction and FF&E budget. Our total estimate right now, all inclusive, $10,467,799 for the base. We, excuse me, we have had to identify a few alternates just to make sure that the bid stays within the budget. One is the 3-bay entrance canopy in the front, fixtures, furniture, and equipment for the health clinic. Number 3, the operable partitions that subdivide the multipurpose room and the group exercise area. Number 4, FF&E for the arts and crafts room. Number 5, exterior furnishings, mainly on that patio area on the south. And number 6 is the tennis court parking resurfacing, which is the existing parking area on the northwest. And we've gone over these with a user as well, Northcare, and if we have to, they're fine with providing some of the FF&E if need be. Okay, so where we are right now, it doesn't show real well, but we're doing final construction documents. I've got the dates written down here, the actual dates. We'll be issuing those to the city. We've been incorporating final design comments from ADG in the city and fine-tuning the costs, as I just mentioned. But the final set will be submitted around the middle of November. It'll be back to the committee at the next committee meetings for review and hopefully approval, and they'll go to the council for their approval, and then out to bid towards the end of November is the projection right now. Okay, and there's the other dates. We hope to be finished early 2017 at this point. Okay, are there any questions?
Alan, but you will go ahead and bid those alternatives that are shown there. Those are estimates of cost, but you'll bid the alternatives that you laid out there?
These will be add alternates, yes.
Yes.
If things go well, we'll take as many of those as we can, yes.
I understand.
Right.
Other questions? All right. Okay. Alan, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Item number 10, David.
Mr. Chairman, the next 3 items are all items for the Phase 3 trails. So item 10 is recommend a resolution approving contract for engineering services with Cabinets Engineering LLC for MAPS 3 trail improvements, Phase 3, Project 1, Lake Draper Trail, fee of $295,500, Project M3-T003. As I just said, this is for the Lake Draper Trails. It's approximately 10 miles of trails. We've broken it into 3 separate projects, and we've gone through the usual procedures in order to hire the engineers that are on here. I might add that the Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee did not have a quorum this month, but they did discuss this, and there was 1 dissenting vote on that.
Just procedurally now, but we will vote on these separately, but they're all 3 connected. Is that what you're suggesting here? And Sue, you want to comment on what we have in front of us from the Trails Committee?
Just to, again, say that we only had 4 members, and 3 of the 4 members were in favor of moving this forward, and the 1 member is just opposed to the trail. So he's been here already and voiced his concerns to this committee. So you heard from him.
That's right. We had that last time he made his point about just not wanting to do this trail.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the
recommendation. Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution included in item 10. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. David, item 11.
Item 11 is recommend resolution approving contract for engineering services with CEC Corporation for MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 2, Lake Draper Trail, fee of $328,000, Project M3-T003A. So this is the second part of the three-part trail project.
Moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's approved. Item 12.
Item 12 is recommend resolution approving contract for engineering services with Triad Design Group Incorporated for MAPS 3 Trail Improvements, Phase 3, Project 3, Lake Draper Trail, fee $328,000, Project M3-T003B. And this is 3 of 3.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution approving the contract for engineering. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. That brings us to item 13, David.
Item 13 is recommend resolution approving change order number 3 and amendment number 3 for the MAPS 3 Phase 1 West River Trail connection, South Meridian Avenue to South Council Road, increase of $23,910, Project M3-T001. This is the what I call the cleanup change order and amendment. There is a change order item for fence and gate, and that has to do with the parking lot at Council Road that we were not able to build because of floodplain issues as we went through, and we couldn't negotiate with the landowner on that. And then we had quantity adjustments to the $16,910, and those are all items that were in the contract, already had prices on it, and we just used more or less of the items. And this comes with recommendation of those present at the Trails and Sidewalks Subcommittee.
But it doesn't increase the budget. The change order doesn't. It's working within the budget we have.
Yes, sir.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution for change order number 3. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Item 14, David.
Item 14 is recommend resolution approving change order number 1 and amendment number 1 for MAPS 3 Phase 2, Project 2, sidewalk improvements, increase of $68,094, Project M3-W002A. Again, this is similar as the last one, various items on change order, and then items with the amendment. Those were previously priced. I could go through each of these if you want, but they're pretty standard construction type items. It's your
And they have been
choice.
Reviewed by the subcommittee. And are you all asking? You moved approval. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve this change order. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. That brings us to item 15, which is new business. David or any member of the subcommittee have new business they'd like to have considered today? All right. That brings us to item 16, the subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee have a report they'd like to have considered? Nathaniel?
Yes, Streetcar did not meet yesterday, but I just wanted to mention that at our next meeting we expect to talk about signal prioritization and perhaps recommend a resolution, a statement of preference to have signal prioritization, essentially where the streetcar will have some sort of algorithm that built into the light system that'll give it priority. So that'll be a discussion point, and I just wanted to kind of forecast that intent.
Any other? Well, I want to say a thank you on behalf of the Convention Center Subcommittee for not only that subcommittee having a special meeting last month to meet the time frame that had been set by the City Council for us to get a proposal to them on the Convention Center site, and I appreciate all of you being available for a special meeting this month so that we can move that project along. I do want to say that attending the Park Subcommittee meeting yesterday was a lot more fun for me than it has been. Now that we've decided not to put it in the park, and now that there is a proposal to move the OG&E substation, the Convention Center Subcommittee is back on good terms with the Park Subcommittee, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. Are you, Sue? So anyway, thank you, and I know that you all saw that the council moved the project forward. And I'm going to leave it at that and let David tell you whatever the next steps are in his report if he chooses to. But anyway, many thanks to all of you for coming to a special meeting and letting us get that moved forward in an expedited way. That brings us then, David, to item 17, an informational item.
We have two informational items here. One is acceptance of a quitclaim deed for property at 15th and Meridian. This is for the West River Trail. And then we went ahead and sent the contract with A&A Maintenance to council for renewal. This is the mowing that is done at the Whitewater facility. There was no increase in money. It was just increasing the period of which they could operate, and we needed to keep that going. So that was sent to council.
Great. Okay. That brings us then to item 18, David, your program update.
Yes, sir. On the river, as you saw, the Whitewater facility is under construction and making a great progress. Senior Wellness, we saw the update on the design for number 2, and Wellness Center number 1 is under construction and doing well also. Trails and sidewalks, we have a lot of projects out there. As you know, Phase 1 Trails Project 1 and 2 are complete, just waiting for final acceptance on them. The I-44 Corridor Trail, which is Phase 2 Trails, is in design and acquiring right-of-way. And the Phase 3 Trails was on the agenda today for the consultant selection, and we'll head to council, and we will begin design on that quickly, assuming council approves those contracts. Phase 1 projects 1, 2, and 3 of the sidewalks are complete. Projects 1 and 2 of Phase 2 is in construction. Phase 3 has Project 1 in construction and number 2 in design. And then Phase 4 sidewalks are in design. So there's a whole lot going on with the sidewalks. Convention Center, as you mentioned, the site selection is complete. Very glad to have that done. I want to thank the Alliance and staff and Populous, ADG, everybody that was involved in that process. And now acquisition efforts have begun, and we're very anxious to get that going and get design going again. Fairgrounds, as you saw, the update, Expo Building is under construction and doing well. And then we saw an update on the park efforts. So design continues on that, coordination of utilities continues also. And the streetcar preliminary design is complete. Negotiations for the streetcars are complete, and the mainline construction is in design. And we hope to be bringing you something in the next coming months on that.
Great. Any questions for David? All right. That brings us then to item 19. Any comments by the board that you'd like to offer? Sue?
I just think we need to offer comments to Nicole. Since
I do too.
think this might be her last official committee meeting with ADG.
Nicole, would you
We
like
love you, Nicole.
Why don't you come forward, Nicole? You start. Sue, you want to?
I just appreciate your leadership and the role that you've played for ADG, and I'm excited that you will continue being a partner with this board, and looking forward to seeing where that takes you.
Thank you so much.
Well, Nicole, I want to add my congratulations. I think when all of us started on this MAPS 3 project 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago now, we all knew that there would be change. We've had some changes in members of this board and in the subcommittee as well. But you have been a steady rock, and this opportunity for you that I know is a good career opportunity for you is something that we're very proud for you to do and happy for you to go forward. But I do want you to know that you have been a valued member of the MAPS 3 team. Your contributions at all the public meetings that you've had to attend after hours at night, and to be a steady rock for all of us in those meetings and the subcommittees and be here as well, has been a real inspiration to all of us. And I want you to know that you go with our best wishes and our thanks, because when this is done, And it will get done. It will get done. But when it's done, there will not be anyone that's contributed more to its success than you, and we thank you for what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's, I actually originally and have always thought I would be here throughout. I thought I would be seeing this through to the end, but this is a great opportunity for me, and I hope to be able to contribute at the Alliance, as I feel like I've contributed to this program. It was a very hard decision without definitely tears involved. I'm trying not to cry now. But I do appreciate the kind comments, and I've just truly enjoyed working with all of you. I'm thankful that I'll be able to, I know, continue to work on transformative projects, and a lot of our work will continue to intersect, so I won't be far.
Tom, I'd like to add a comment too. Nicole, obviously Kathy O'Connor is so lucky to have you. One of the things that when, as you were talking to us, and I was thinking back in the years we worked together, and I just want to applaud you, your relationship skills. And I think that's kind of, to me, what has made you so pivotal in this process, is your ability to work so well with so many diverse personalities and perspectives. And you've handled that so well, and you've just been a champion that way. And I thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Well, anything from the staff, David? No, sir. This is the opportunity for any citizens that want to say something. Any comments from citizens? If not, that brings us to item 20. Are we prepared to adjourn? Been moved and seconded we adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.